我81年的44岁，没有结婚，没有生孩子，也没有另一半。人到中年，我深刻地体会到了，在这样一个年龄段，如果还想要去遇见，就是还想要去找另一半的话，并且合适的另一半，这种机会很渺茫，除非自身的条件很好。而像我这样的，怎么说呢？比上不足，比下有余，所以就挺尴尬的。这就是我现在的生活现状。
一想到我都38了，还没有结婚。
These past few days, there's a thought that keeps coming back to me. I'm already 38 years old. Yes, 38, and I still haven't gotten married, don't have children, and not even a boyfriend. This reality drains all my energy, to the point where I don't even feel like enjoying things I used to love, like entertainment and travel. Once upon a time, the life I most longed for was actually the one I have now, no family ties, no one to restrict me, complete freedom. But now that I'm truly living this unrestricted lifestyle, I've realized that this so-called freedom is actually a kind of loneliness and emptiness that's hard to bear. When I was younger, I was stubborn. I didn't want to admit that I also craved affection and companionship. But now that I've reached this age, I can see more and more clearly that a complete family, a partner to rely on, and a child of my own, these things that once seemed ordinary, are actually the true sources of belonging and security in life. Without these things, your life feels like it's floating in mid-air, without a landing point. Even if you appear to be doing well on your own, that lack of emotional support and spiritual home is like duckweed on water. It may look stable, but it has no roots. If I fall ill one day, there's not even anyone to hand me a glass of water, no one to call 120 for me. Even if I faint, it's possible no one would discover me for a long time. That kind of loneliness and helplessness is something freedom can never make up for. Right now, I really don't know where my life is supposed to go. How am I supposed to get through the remaining decades of my life? This is the question I keep asking myself every day, but still can't find the answer to.
刚跟一个比我大2岁的男士相完亲。
I just had a blind date with a man who is 2 years older than me, and right now I'm truly overwhelmed, on the verge of breaking down. I can't help but ask myself, how did it come to this? I'm already 40 years old. I've gone on 3 blind dates this month, and all of them were divorced men, some of them even with 2 children. While I can accept someone who's divorced, at most I can accept 1 child. But the reality now is, most divorced men have 2 or even more children. Which means, I haven't even had 1 child of my own, and I'm expected to immediately upgrade into being a stepmother to 2 kids. That kind of role shift is extremely hard for me to accept. I truly feel that the pressure faced by so-called leftover women in the dating market is far greater than what most people see on the surface. A recombined family like this may align with the national 3-child policy, but in terms of my personal happiness, it's basically zero. As for why I agreed to meet this man, honestly, it happened rather suddenly. He added me on WeChat last night, saying he wanted to meet up over the weekend to chat. I figured it was Friday, and I didn't have anything planned anyway, so I said yes. At first, he made a decent impression, spoke clearly, seemed decisive, height was 1.73 meters, had worked at a major tech company for 2.5 years, with an annual salary of over 800,000 yuan. He just changed jobs, joined a new energy company last week, and now earns just over 1 million yuan per year. He also admitted that he just got divorced last month and found my profile online, so he wanted to meet and get to know me. At the beginning of our conversation, things were going okay, until I asked about his marital history. That's when he told me he has 2 children. His ex-wife is now renting a place to live, while he still lives in the home they bought together, and he's still paying off the mortgage. On top of that, he already paid his ex-wife over 2 million yuan in cash. So at this point, his financial situation is extremely tight. Not only does he have to support 2 children, but he also has to repay the loan and basically has no savings left. He said the industry he's in now, new energy, has great potential. Then he asked me if I wanted to have another child. And said it depends on whether I have the desire to give birth. But after hearing all this, I just felt numb, or more precisely, disappointed. He's 2 years older than me, has very little savings, and although his annual salary is barely acceptable, when you consider the expenses of raising 3 kids, the financial pressure is still very high. And during our meal together, I became even more certain that we weren't compatible. He only focused on his own food the whole time, never once considering how I felt. All he talked about were practical issues, like, how much do you make right now? What's the situation with your house? And so on. The entire time, there was no lightheartedness, no warmth, and certainly no sense of care or respect. Honestly, by the end of this date, my head was about to explode. I don't know if I'm being too picky, or if the dating scene at my age is just inherently full of helplessness and harsh reality.
今天又有人问我为什么30多岁了还不赶紧找对象结婚。
Today, someone asked me again why I'm already 35 years old and still haven't quickly found someone to marry. I gave a bitter smile and said, it's because I still want a bride price. But the reality is, no one is willing to give me that bride price. A lot of men think I'm too old and are worried that after marriage I won't be able to have children. Plus, I'm indeed not wealthy. After working for so many years, I really haven't managed to save much money for myself. Also, I'm kind of a foodie. Every day, after working hard to earn a bit of money, all I can think about is using it to buy something tasty to feed myself. I don't have much money, but I sure have a lot of cravings. I've been single for so many years, no boyfriend, and it's honestly exhausting to go to work alone. Every day I feel totally drained, and once I get home, all I want to do is collapse on the bed. So, I feel like I'm actually pretty lazy. If it weren't absolutely necessary, I wouldn't even want to get up to go to the bathroom. If I weren't starving to the point of seeing stars, I wouldn't bother getting up to cook. And if I weren't holding it in for too long, I wouldn't even want to wash my face or hair. I'm even too lazy to go out and socialize, even lazier to put on makeup or dress up. I don't want to talk to anyone, and I don't want to share my life with others. It's not that I still have someone in my heart that I can't let go of, and it's not that I'm waiting for someone to come back. It's just that after being single for so long, my personality has become a bit withdrawn. At the end of the day, I'm just an ordinary, tired woman. It's not that I don't want to get married, it's just that after being single for so long, I've slowly lost all hope and love.
今天我去相亲了，但是我从来没想过。
Today I went on a blind date. To be honest, I never thought there would come a day when a blind date would make me cry. On the way back, I kept thinking, why did I even go? I really haven't gone on a blind date in a very long time. In fact, I've long understood that society has never been friendly toward unmarried and childless women over the age of 35. And because of this ongoing bias and invisible pressure, I slowly wrapped myself up and chose to stay away from the whole idea of blind dating. But after all, every time my family looks at me, their eyes are filled with hope and worry. I couldn't bear to disappoint them, so I thought maybe I should try to take the initiative, give myself a chance, to reach out, to fight for something. But I never expected that the very first step I took would hit me so hard. Especially during the date, when the man asked, "You're already this age, why aren't you married yet? Why didn't you get married earlier? If you can't have kids after your 40s, what will you do?" At that moment, I really just wanted to walk away. He's only 1 year younger than me, yet it felt like he was sitting on a judge's bench, throwing question after question at me, never once considering whether his words were hurtful or out of line. I held back my emotions and continued to listen to him talk. He has 5 older sisters and is the youngest son in the family. I didn't question him or his family background in any way, yet he came at me with wave after wave of judgment and doubt. I believe every 35-year-old woman who is still unmarried and has no children has her own story, her own reasons, and her own helpless circumstances. It's not that no one wants to get married. It's not that we've never been in love. But only after going through relationship after relationship do you realize how difficult it really is to make it to the stage of talking marriage. Most of the time, it's not for lack of trying, it's that despite the effort, things still fall apart. And then after I got home, I kept asking myself, why did I even go on that date? It felt like a slap in the face. Honestly, before I went, I thought my little world was quite nice. At least I could entertain myself without external criticism and emotional bruises. But today's experience really left me cold. When I got home, I couldn't hold back my tears. I just felt so awful. I once put real effort into searching for love. I once poured everything into building a relationship. And in the end, when it finally came time to talk about marriage, things fell apart. Was that my choice? Of course not. I made many compromises and accepted a lot of things I didn't like, but the result was still disappointing. Marriage has never been something easy or effortless. My current state is constantly telling myself, just wait a little longer. But truthfully, I'm deeply frustrated, genuinely heartbroken from the inside out. A blind date is supposed to be just a starting point to meet someone new. If you find you're not compatible, you move on peacefully. But today this man said I wasn't suitable and wanted to end things, yet then suddenly apologized. That flip-flopping behavior completely wore me out. When it came time to eat, he insisted that we should have a meal together, saying, well, since we're already here, might as well grab a bite. We basically split the cost. He bought a serving of steamed buns, and I even got him a bowl of hot dry noodles and a cup of sake. I got myself a bowl of rice noodles and a cup of soy milk. He said he'd transfer me the money, but I didn't accept it. But looking back on the whole experience, there wasn't a single moment of enjoyment. I had finally gathered the courage to take this step, hoping to give myself a chance to find a partner. But the only thing I gained from stepping out was more disappointment and hurt. Maybe this is why I've always resisted blind dates. I genuinely don't like, and can't handle, the feeling of being looked down on. I know very clearly, both now and in the future, I never want to be picked apart, evaluated, and denied like that again. I've thought a lot about it. Even if I never get married, so what? Life doesn't need to revolve around marriage to be meaningful. Last year, during a routine health check, I was unexpectedly diagnosed with a chronic illness. That period of time hit me hard, and I reflected deeply. I don't want to burden anyone. And even more, I don't want to be looked down on because of my health. Thankfully, my condition is currently stable, symptoms are mild, and all the indicators are still within range. But going through that experience made me realize even more, life is uncertain. Everyone has their own path. Whether or not to marry is just one of many life choices. I know I can't expect to definitely find someone I can rely on, someone who'll treat me well. But I still want to give myself a chance. Even if there's no outcome, I don't want to live with regrets. So I went. But now, I've barely begun, and I already feel like this road is suffocatingly difficult. Lately, I keep thinking, maybe it really doesn't matter if I never get married. Why must I? Isn't living happily by myself already a goal worth pursuing? Marriage, at best, is just the icing on the cake. What truly matters is living my life with brilliance, and learning how to truly love myself. That's the most important thing of all.
Do you know who leftover women usually end up marrying? There's a woman born in 1982 who shared her real marriage story online. She's from Shanghai, the only child in her family. She owns a house and a car, and her annual income is around 300,000 yuan. When she was 25, there was no end to the men chasing her. People practically trampled down her doorstep. But back then, this young woman was extremely picky when it came to choosing a partner. She wouldn't consider anyone shorter than 1.8 meters. She wouldn't consider a man if the house had a mortgage. She wouldn't consider a man who didn't know how to be sweet or coax her. If he didn't have at least a bachelor's degree or had low emotional intelligence, she wouldn't consider him either. She disliked this and disliked that. And in the end, after over 10 years of blind dating, she still hadn't managed to get married. She truly started to feel the pressure of marriage when she turned 35. The men she had her eyes on all chose women under 27. At that point, she said that when she went on blind dates, many men didn't even want to meet her once they heard her age. During holidays, she dreaded visiting relatives the most. All her younger cousins were married with kids, and only she was still alone. Watching her parents' hair turning white, she clenched her teeth and finally decided to lower her standards. She eventually got married at the age of 42, but her husband was 52, had been divorced, and his son was already in university, facing the challenges of buying a home, finding a job, getting married, and so on. At 42, she no longer dared to have children. Her physical strength couldn't keep up, and the risks of childbirth were just too high. She said, what she missed when she was young, once missed, can't be made up for, no matter how much regret she has now. But she still believed that she had to get married in this lifetime. Now, she just wants to be kind to her husband and his child, hoping that when she gets old, her stepson will treat her well. I'm sharing this story with you all to say this. Leftover women, in the end, either endure loneliness after their parents pass away, or they accept a life without children and become someone else's stepmother. If these are two outcomes you can't accept, then you need to hurry and find a partner while you're still young. Do you think leftover women had standards that were too high when they were younger, only to be forced to face reality as they got older? Whose fault is it, really? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. See you next time.